Hello, I'm Alexander Laszlo, and I'm an evolutionary systems scientist. I study living systems and looking for patterns of how they come into thriving and even flourishing. And I look for how it is that these living systems then transcend themselves together with all of life on Earth. As a co-founding member of EARTHwise and steward of the EARTHwise Constitution, it is my great pleasure to share with you some reflections on the pledges that are most significant to me. Now, there are 16 pledges altogether in the EARTHwise Constitution for Planetary Civilization. And I must confess to you that it is basically impossible for me to pledge myself to only one of these. I can't even pledge myself to two or three. They come all together. And so I will tell you which couple of them are my favorites, but really, I feel that I can and must pledge myself to all 16 of them. They come in kind of four different groupings. The first four of them are more about answering the call of being a steward of life on Earth. And the next group, the next four, are more about stewarding the potential of life for thrivability. And then the next grouping, the next four, is about how we can upgrade ourselves to be able to play the game of life in truly thrivable ways ourselves with all of life on the planet. And then we have the last grouping that takes us from 13 to 16, pledges number 13 to 16, which are about how do we become the world that we want to see? How are we actually going to embody and enact this in our very being? Of course, all of these pledges are about how we can do that in an ongoing way. But I want to focus on two pledges in particular. I want to focus on pledge number 5. Pledge number 5 reads as follows: I pledge to navigate the wisdom of living systems as my compass for thrivability. Now, this is significant to me because I spend much of my life exploring what it means for living systems to speak to us, to tell us what they are seeking to emerge to be. It means developing a kind of evolutionary ear, a kind of sense of what we call syntony, the ability to look at things as they are coming into harmonious relationship with each other, building not only resonance, but a sense of consonance, meaningful connection with each other. So by listening to nature, by listening to the ways in which our living context informs us moment by moment, we can navigate our own lives in harmony with the dynamic emergence of other lives all around us. And I think this is particularly what stands out for me about this pledge number 5. Again, it is about to navigate by the wisdom of living systems as my compass for thrivability. And I feel that this number 5 is very beautifully connected to pledge number 15. So we jump now to a whole 10, almost the ones toward the very end. Pledge number 15 is as follows. It says, I pledge to build thriving communities and generative ecosystems. Well, you see, my interest here is really to become part of this living, emerging narrative of life on this planet. To build a new planetary civilization is not a task that any one of us can do by ourselves. So by combining pledge number 5 and number 15, I feel I can get a better sense, a compass, right, for how to engage in this process of emerging a new planetary civilization and learn how to play my own part in that. It really is about the wisdom of flow, of music. Let me tell you what I mean, perhaps by playing a little bit of my flute for you. And this way you will see what flute wisdom is about. the universal language of music. This, for me, captures beautifully what it means to be in flow. The particular expression that the pledges altogether bring alive for me is a kind of what I would call still flow. How can you have a still flow? It is working on learning how nature does this. I mean, look at the waterfall here behind me. This is a process that it's still flowing, and it's going and going, and it stays a waterfall. Its core is strong. It doesn't get moved aside and become something that it is not meant to be. So it has a strong center. It is still a flowing waterfall. But the edges are all the time flowing and adapting, learning from and with all the other things that emerge around it. It is part of a thriving ecosystem. So again, I want to bring us back to the two pledges that I shared with you. Pledge number 5, which is, again, to navigate by the wisdom of living systems as my compass for thrivability. To be that still flow process, the way in which nature does so beautifully, learning that flow of synteny. And then pledge number 15, to build thriving communities and generative ecosystems. This is the basis. When we can bring these patterns from nature into the world, then we have the basis of creating a new planetary civilization. I invite you to explore the pledges and to find those which resonate most for you. This way, together, we can be the change we wish to see in the world. Thank you very much.